I didn't go vegan because I loved animals. Truth is, I never really saw myself as an animal lover before. Yeah, I had pets growing up and I liked animals, but there was always this wall. I had this unanswered question. If we kill animals for food, how can they also be worthy of love? That question stayed buried in me for years, shaping the way that I saw animals, until my search for the truth about myself brought it back to the surface. The first animal I really remember bonding with was my dog Duke. He was my first pet, and we basically grew up together. And yes, I definitely say that I loved him. But looking back, it was love with an asterisk. Because even though Duke meant the world to me, he was, after all, an animal. And everything I saw from the world around me, from TV, from school, from my parents, said that animals were just part of the background. Yeah, they could be cute and funny and sad sometimes when something happened to them, but they weren't sacred. They weren't sentient in any truly meaningful way. And even that only applied to some animals, to dogs, cats, horses maybe if they were in a movie. But other animals, like chickens, turkeys, pigs, cows, they were just food, literally completely disposable. And their place on our plates every night was never questioned. I didn't question it either, but honestly, there was something that never quite set right with me. I'd see adults pour affection into their pets, and then in the same breath, praise the taste of bacon with the same glint of love in their eye. And I knew pigs weren't pets, but I also knew that that was the only difference. A perfect example of this conflict in myself was that movie Babe. My mom and I used to love that movie. And I remember the first time I watched it, I was silently stressed the whole movie thinking, they better not kill him and eat him at the end of this movie. And I'm sure a lot of other people felt that way too. But why? Isn't that exactly what we do to every other pig? Why is Babe special? Because he's on the screen or because he can talk or sing? It was too much to try to reconcile, so I didn't. I just chalked it up to, that's the way the world is. And because of this disconnect, as I got older, I couldn't fully love animals. Not really. I didn't understand people who called their pets family or who spent thousands of dollars to save their pets when they were sick. I wanted to feel that way. And on some level, I guess I did about my own pets. But there was always this wall standing in the way of me having a more general love for animals as a whole. Like when a squirrel darted up a tree and somebody would say, "Oh, how cute." I'd just be thinking, my family's from Texas. They'd eat that squirrel. I actually have before. And that wall only got higher when I became a fitness enthusiast and later a trainer. I started seeing animal lives as nothing more than numbers. 4 ounces of chicken breast, 125 calories, 25 grams of protein, less than 2 grams of fat, give or take. No carbs. I remember one moment that kind of embarrasses me now. A vegan friend of mine on Facebook posted this meme that said something like, "Broccoli has protein too," and I went in. Full keyboard warrior mode, saying how I would need to eat an entire bucket of broccoli to get the same amount of protein I can get from a chicken breast or 2. If you're seeing this, I'm sorry. Technically, I wasn't wrong, but I was completely missing the point. I thought vegans were just people whose love for animals got in the way of their logic, their common sense, and most likely their health. To me, eating meat was just a necessary evil, and a damn efficient one in terms of macros. I was ignorant. I hadn't done a shred of research except for maybe a bro science article or 2, and none of that gave the slightest thought to the lives behind the numbers. It's interesting, I never once thought about superimposing my experience with Duke onto the animals on my plate. You see, with Duke, I could see that he had a personality, that he had a desire for freedom, a will to live, that he could love. But I never transferred those qualities to the chickens, pigs, or cows that were on my plate. Even though I knew that pigs were smarter than dogs and cats. I knew that chickens could be taught complex tricks. I knew that they all felt pain, just like Duke did the night he was attacked by one of the neighbor's dogs. But now I do see that the animals on my plate had all of those qualities too. And if Duke deserved to live because of those qualities, then they do too. So what changed? In my spiritual journey video, I shared how in 2020 I went through sort of an existential crisis. And that led me deep into meditation and self-inquiry. And during that time, something unexplainable happened. I had this quiet but unmistakable expansion of compassion. And it was when I started looking into my feelings about violence and animals that I really noticed it. I was reading about the 8 limbs of yoga in the Yoga Sutras. And one of the first ethical principles is ahimsa, or nonviolence. And I remember thinking, oh, I've got that down. I am a kind, nonviolent person. But the author explained that in traditional Indian contexts, nonviolence includes vegetarianism, because eating animals involves violence and harm. That stopped me in my tracks. Wait, is killing an animal for food a form of violence? And if it is, then isn't condoning it and paying someone to do it for you just the same as doing it yourself? That question echoed the other question that had been haunting me for my whole life. If we kill animals for food, how can they also be worthy of love? I decided to finally find out, to tackle the issue, to throw away every justification that I had been given for why we eat meat and see how I truly felt about it, to really search it for myself. That day, I became a probationary vegetarian, and I told myself that if I could confirm 2 things, A, that the meat that I eat comes from violence, and B, that I can live a healthy life without it, I would never eat meat again. Over the next month, I read a bunch of studies and watched a bunch of documentaries. I remember one scene in the documentary Dominion that brought me to tears. And this was strange for me because of the wall that I had always had up between myself and what they felt. I actually recorded myself to remember that moment and give myself the resolve to not cause that type of pain. I highly recommend Dominion, by the way. From there, I did research on the egg and dairy industries and chose the vegan lifestyle. The evidence was clear. Animal agriculture is violent, it's destructive, and in a developed country like this one, it's completely unnecessary to live a healthy life, even as an athlete. And the surprising thing was, after that decision, I felt that wall completely disappear. The wall between wanting to love animals and actually being able to. About 2 years later, my fiance took me to an animal sanctuary. There were animals there that I had never really interacted with, the kind we eat. Pigs, chickens, goats, sheep. It was the first time I got a chance to see that, yes, just like Duke, they had their own little personalities. They had preferences, like this little guy who loved a belly rub, or this goat who was definitely an attention seeker with some teenage angst. They just wanted to live their lives, play with their friends, and be free of pain and suffering. Not only just like Duke, but just like me. I was shocked at how much love that I could give them. I could have stayed there all day, and I could feel the love that they gave back to me in their own way. And just knowing that I wanted nothing from them, but for them to live the peaceful and happy lives that they deserved, that changed everything. I had no latent guilt to hide or to hold over myself. I was free to love. So that's my story. I didn't go vegan because I loved animals. I started truly loving animals because I went vegan. Because I stopped putting up this wall between us. Because I stopped telling myself that their pain and my role in it was necessary. Because I looked at the contradiction that I was living with and I chose a different path. Frankly, the one that made the most logical sense. I mean, way more logical than rooting for Babe with tears in your eyes and then having a pork chop that same night. And the beautiful thing is, the deeper I go on this path, the more I feel like myself, like my heart is wide open, just like it was the first day that I held Duke, before the world taught me that he was just an animal. No separation between us, truly family. If this got you thinking about your own story, just know that it's okay to start asking questions. It's okay to let your heart be open, and it's more than okay to change. In this video, I talk about how going vegan also lessened my anxiety about the state of the world. Check it out. Thank you so much for letting me share with you. Expand, evolve, and elevate. I'll see you in the next one.